can't decide if the fact that the Kings have not I read through every trade rumor post this morning, and there's no Kings in there, save for a mention about the Bulls front office being big fans of Kevin Huerter. But in that same post, that was in reference to the Kings now being out on Zach LaVine after Alex Caruso was moved.
I wouldn't stress. I don't even know if that's the right word. Stress too much about them not being in the rumors right now.
No, and that's what it's not. It's not stress. It's not because I am a big big opponent of like winning the offseason. I think winning the offseason is the most overrated thing.
That's the kiss of death right there. If you get hit with you won the off, especially in the NFL too. If you get hit with they won the offseason, you're cooked.
Every time. Not a single person, not a single team has ever been like, wow, winners of the offseason and then won the Super Bowl.
Shout out to that Eagles team with Vince Young in them.
Tough. Yeah. Really tough. Shout out to the Eagles last year who got the 2 Georgia guys in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's like, wow, they're not going to give up any points. They're not going to give up any points all year.
That was a fun night on Twitter.
And that's not to say they pick bad players, not to drag the Eagles or anything, but it's and then look what happened. Like winning the offseason means nothing. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I don't care whether the Kings are involved in rumors or not. They could be involved in every Paul George, LeBron, pick your favorite, Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler. They could be involved in every single one of those. And if they don't land the players, then it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So I don't care that they're not involved. I just can't decide if the lack of notes on the Kings should have me leaning toward, oh yeah, hey, this pick that we thought all year they were going to trade, yeah, they're just going to use it. They're just going to go get a 19 or 20-year-old that they think they can plug in, who's going to be the 9th guy in their rotation, and they feel good about the depth addition.
I will say, I think Monty said in his office, I think he's actively trying to. I'm a producer. I'm not reporting anything or whatever, but I do think he's trying to trade that pick. Like I think he sees what they were last season and all that. Like I think he's actively trying to trade it.
Yeah,
and if they end up if the deal doesn't work out, then yeah, you use the pick. But I doubt like the first thing they want to do is keep that pick right now.
No, I don't think they want to either. I just don't know if it's like, oh man, it's all quiet on the Kings front. They must have something really brewing.
Yeah.
Or is it, hey, it's quiet on the Kings front because there's no deals happening. I can't decide.
Yeah. We'll see on Wednesday, folks.
I was trying to like parse through all the other rumors and try and like connect dots and read between them. I got nothing.
Yeah. I have nothing for it. Like you see the Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes could be available and all, but it's not really anything other than that. Yeah, it's nothing that we don't know already.
Yeah, and that's what everything's been. I was happy to see that Hoops Hype reported that the Kings are out on Zach LaVine now because Alex Caruso is not going to be involved.
The whole Zach LaVine thing, now that we're done and past it, that was terrifying to me.
It was really bad.
Like we thought like, oh, maybe it could be like maybe Zach LaVine just kind of like, yeah, like plan B is there if we need it. But
so I think that this is a funny NBA rumor mill thing. Because Matt Moore, who was on our show, go check it out on YouTube. It's a really good chat with Matt Moore from the Action Network. But he originally wrote in an offseason notebook that the Kings and Bulls had talks about Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso. And on our show, he basically said, like, yeah, they had those talks at the deadline. Sometimes those talks rekindle, it's nothing like, oh yeah, they were deep in the, but because of that post that then got aggregated, anybody who wrote about Zach LaVine was like, the Kings are the presumed favorites.
I'm not gonna lie, I read the post too that after got aggregated. Hey, like looks like the Kings might be getting Zach LaVine, fellas.
And so but I think everything stemmed off of Matt Moore's report.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever like other smoke because people were like, oh, there's smoke out there. Like, no, it's clear. Jake Fisher in Yahoo, who does a fine job, he didn't say league sources said. He just said it appears the Kings are Zach. Like, yeah, no, he's going off of what Matt Moore wrote. Yeah. So I just, that whole cycle, I never got to the point that I was like, oh man, because nobody substantial ever, but like, oh yeah, the Kings and Zach and the Bulls are in deep talks about Zach LaVine. So it never got, but it was still the fact that it was out there in the first place definitely made me a little bit concerned.
See, I was always concerned about the fact that, if Malik's not here, Kings are going to kind of be on red alert. Maybe a panic move or something like that. That's how I always saw it. Because you lose Malik, you're so far behind after that. And you almost have to do something.
I know we did a whole Malik Monk show the other day, but dude, I don't think it can be understated how much that move means. Like just from a pure team building standpoint.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because we're sitting here today like, yeah, hey, backup centers, they need wings for sure. Like everybody knows they need guys who are 6'8" and taller who can play defense and knock down a corner. Everybody knows that. They need size, they need athleticism. That was so clear last year. Everything James and I had talked about on the show, everything you guys talked about on D'Lo and KC, everything kind of circled back to, God, the Kings could really use more size and athleticism on the wings. They just need better wing depth. And I think that's still the case. But if you then remove Malik Monk from the equation, where now all of a sudden, yeah, hey, they need all this wing depth. Oh, hey, and also they have to figure out their 6-man situation.
Need a leader as well.
They need this guy was getting 15 and 5 off the bench. You got to make up that production. And also you got to figure out who the team's going to turn to now as the new leader of the team. That would have been a disaster.
Well, yeah, think about like all the impact he's had and like as productive he's been only 2 years, and then just the fact that they didn't obviously or whatever, but like the fact that could have been gone after 2 years was insane. But they kept him here. We're good.
I was stunned, dude.
I was too. I'm not gonna lie, I was too.
Was crazy.
I was back from walking the dog or whatever. I was kind of scrolling Twitter or whatever and got to the top or whatever. My dad calls me, hey, you see the Kings signed Malik Monk? And my mind, like, there's no chance he signed this early or whatever. Yeah. Like, you got Chatty House. Like, and then he didn't sign. There's no way. Yeah. Like, there's no way. So I checked Twitter, like, oh, what? He did. Yeah. I was shocked.
Well, I had heard from the station, basically, that, like, yeah, hey, that offer's out there for Malik.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary hours right now. And then the next thing I get is the Woj tweet where the first thing I see is Malik's picture. And I'm like, oh, no. This is bad news. And you read it, it's like, wait, what is this? I click on it, I click the profile, like making sure I'm not getting Chatty House. I'm like, is it? And sure enough, man, crazy.
Shout out Malik Monk.
Shout out to Malik.
You don't know what you did for the Kings. You don't know what you did for these shows, too.
Yeah, no idea. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 if you want to join the program. Don, you're on with Kyle and Jesse. What's up?
Hey, this is Don. I'm Zabo's cousin, by the way. So happy Malik Day. Happy Malik Monday.
Malik Monday, sure.
Malik Monday is great. We got the draft coming up on Wednesday. Be there at Tom's Watch Bar. We've been talking about it for weeks and everything like that. What would you guys say is going to be best case scenario Wednesday night, draft's over? What would be the Kings' best case scenario, in your guys' opinion?
That's a great question. Thanks, Don. Zabo's cousin pulling up. Love to see it.
Zabo's a good guy. Does a lot of good stuff on social media.
Boy, does he.
Yeah.
When Zabo's in my mentions, I'm like, oh no. What'd I say? What happened?
He's gotten everyone so far.
I know it. Shout out to Zabo. Shout out to the Chatty House. Yeah, best case scenario. That's a good question. I think best case scenario is they've traded their pick for Brandon Ingram.
Okay, I got a name, but I'm gonna go Kyle Kuzma.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Kyle Kuzma. I like Ingram, but I love Kuzma's contract more.
You know what?
And I think
I'm with you. Go ahead.
Join the club. Yeah. I think for I don't think there's much of a drop off with their production, stuff like that. I think Kuzma will come in, be just as fine as Ingram and all that. Like I said, the contract is just as good. And you're not gonna have to give up much for Kuzma, I don't think.
That's
like Washington's gonna be looking for expiring contracts, just stuff, just not trash, but just stuff that they can not rebuild with, but just kind of use in their restart.
Yeah, and that's where that's I think why I'm on board with you. In my mind, Brandon Ingram is better than Kyle Kuzma, and I think in a vacuum he is. I think he's a better player.
I'd agree with that. He's got more of a ceiling, I think.
Yeah,
a higher ceiling.
Yeah, for sure. But I think with Kuzma, with where you're slotting him in, he's been more durable, more available. He's cheaper, just contract wise. I think he'd be cheaper to acquire. You're not going to have to max him out the way you would Brandon Ingram next year. So I think overall, man.
Well, because I don't think that deal is like the 13th pick, HB and Herter for Kuzma. Like, I think you can get away with the 13th pick and Herter if you want, or like the 13th pick and some expiring contracts. Like, you could imagine you get Kuzma here and you got HB coming off the bench. Like, Harrison Barnes wasn't great starting for the Kings last year, but if you give you 10, 12 off the bench with Malik, like, you're solid.
I don't know what his market is going to be.
Harrison's?
No, Kuzma's. Yeah, I don't know if the Kings like Brandon Ingram. A Brandon Ingram deal, and James has laid this out before. The Pelicans are moving Brandon Ingram because they want an upgrade next to Zion.
Mm-hmm.
All due respect to the players the Kings have, none of them are an upgrade over Brandon. None of the players that they'd be willing to give up in a trade.
You probably need a third team or something like that.
Right, and so that's where James has looped in like the Hawks and made it a Trae Young swap where Trae Young goes to New Orleans, Brandon Ingram goes to Sacramento, and then a bunch of assets from both teams go to the Hawks. Which like makes sense, but I think if they got involved in the Brandon Ingram market, I think you're competing with every team in the league is going to be out there trying to go get Brandon Ingram too.
Yeah, because Brandon Ingram can help pretty much anyone in the league right now.
Yeah, man, he's going to get 20 a night. He's 6'9", 6'10". He gets his shot, but again, there's a durability factor. I constantly, I was talking about this with D'Lo and KC the other day. And again, this is eye test. I'm sure that there are I don't watch like 50 Brandon Ingram games a year. Let that be very clear. I watch a handful. And I'm sure there are advanced metrics that would tell me this is wrong. And that's fine. I'm open to that. But my just gut feeling right now today is that, dude, I am always underwhelmed by Brandon Ingram. Every time I watch him, like, man, hey, this is a guy that's supposed to give you like 30 or 40. Like, this is going to be crazy. And then he's like, 19.
He's got the tools and the potential, but maybe, like I mentioned, he's got a higher ceiling than Kuzma. Maybe it's a glass ceiling, though.
Is it dude, Kyle Kuzma went 22, 7, 22. Sorry, hang on. Yeah, 22, 6.5, and 4 last year. It's not like he stinks.
Well, I'm not saying, yeah.
And I don't know where along the line it reached a point that Kyle Kuzma like isn't good.
I think it's the Lakers thing and the whole fashion thing. I think honestly that's it and stuff like that. I don't think Kuzma's really done anything where it's like he's a bad teammate or anything like that. Like I felt like once Bron got there and all that, like he kind of played into his role and was a solid part and then winning a ring and all that.
Yeah, with the Lakers, he averaged 15 a night, 15, 5.5, and 2. Then he goes to Washington for the 21-22 season, and he's averaged 27.5 and 4.
I think people look at Kuzma like he said things before too, like I want to go to Washington and try to lead them and stuff like that. And people probably see like him in the rumors, like, well, you've had opportunities to maybe sign with other teams and go win a ring. And people see that maybe as like he's not winning isn't his number one thing. Maybe
okay,
that's how they see it.
I think so. To answer the question, I think that's kind of the I think that to me is the best case scenario for the Kings.
Yeah.
If they use the pick, I think they're on worst case scenario watch.
Yeah, if they use the pick, I think there's gonna be a lot of unhappy fans that night.
Yeah, because there's not a player that they could go get that I think people would be like, wow, yeah, like consensus, right? Like, yes, this is the guy. Oh my God, can't believe they got him. I could get some people who were like, yeah, fired up, new player, love it. And then you get the people who are like, doesn't really help. It's not Kyle Kuzma, who got traded for X, Y, and Z.
Well, how much is a rookie? Like, that's not Keegan Murray either. You're not drafting the number 4 pick.
At least probably not.
Yeah. So, like, how much is they really going to help this year?
I don't know.
At least the first couple years.
I don't know. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Don, you're on the Insiders with Kyle and Jesse. What's up?
Good morning, Kyle and Jesse. Big E.
What up, Big E?
Call screener sucks, Kyle.
He does.
On the night of the Malik Monk signing, my buddy texted me, and as a long life Kings fan, I read the text, Malik Monk sighting, and I was like, oh no, where is he? Philly? Like Orlando? And then I looked at it again, and it said signing, and I was like, what? And then 2 minutes later, the Woj bomb dropped, and I was at my night job, and I didn't care. I shouted for joy. I was so happy.
That's awesome.
And then with LaVine, once we signed Monk, I was like, there's no reason we should pay our third best player the most amount of money. That's all I got to say on LaVine.
No doubt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it. Big E, I guess.
Yeah. Shout out
Hey,
if you want
to call the show, by the way, it's just gonna ring until we're able to get to you. So have some patience. 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 if you want to join the show.
Real quick, Chester Jackson in the chat throws in,
please.
who's the guy who's not available that we think is the perfect fit for the Kings? That guy would be Mikal Bridges. He's not available. I don't think.
Not available.
Yeah, I don't think Mikal Bridges is available, but like.
So like any player in the NBA.
Yes. Like, that's the first thing that came up to me because I feel like Mikal Bridges has come up so much as far as, like, Kings fans talking and stuff like that. Like, if they could get that guy, that'd be the one, but, like, I don't think for some reason
it's Jason Tatum.
Well, that's fair. Maybe Giannis. Play with the big. Go with the big, Kyle.
Yeah, of the players who could, like,
realistically,
like, conceivably come available where, hey, the Nets decide to pull the plug on whatever it is they're doing. Yeah, I think Mikal Bridges is the guy.
That's the one. Like, even over Kuzma and Ingram, like, he'd be.
Yeah, because he's a overqualified, like, third option at that point. Maybe even probably third option at that point.
Yeah. I'm not sure what Brooklyn's doing. Those guys are dysfunctional.
Brooklyn's weird. There are so many teams this year where I just have no feel for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, what is Brooklyn doing? What are the Cavs doing?
Cavs are at a bit of a crossroads.
What are the Hawks doing? I have no idea. What are the Spurs doing? We'll talk about this in a bit. I got a bunch of teams that I'm looking at this year in this offseason. Just don't know. Yeah. I got nothing.
We're going to figure it out later.
Yeah, we better. 916-909-1320. Don, you're on the Insiders with Jesse and Kyle. What's up?
Hey, this is Fred. I'm Zabo's uncle.
Zabo's whole family calling him this site. What's up, Fred?
So I have a question. I'm a little under the weather. Sorry.
It's okay.
I have a question. So if they have to draft somebody, if the Kings are at the point where they're still not in a deal mode, do you think they need to go do you think that they need to go big, or do you think that they still need to look at like maybe a small forward or get a little bit more size for now?
Perfect. Thanks, Fred. Appreciate the call. Now, I think if the Kings are drafting a player, it has to be that player that we're talking about. A wing, a size. I don't necessarily want to say defensive minded, but plays defense.
Plays defense, but also like shoot the ball too.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing for me.
If you're drafting a player, you're hoping it's what you said earlier.
Yeah.
You're hoping that player can give you like 12 minutes a night and be playable in the playoffs. And like that's
because I don't think you can draft a guy who's like, oh, he's great on defense, but his offense is just not there right now. Like, we can't do that right now.
Yeah, but also at the same time, you can't draft a guy who's a turnstile because that guy's just not going to play.
Yeah,
and I know that this is not I agree with Kenny. You can't ignore offense. You can't say, hey, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis have got this. Let's put 3 dudes out there who are just like it can't be that. You have to put the ball in the hoop. That's the point of the game. And we can talk about all the different aspects and areas. There's passing and rebounding and defense and all that. But the point of the sport is to put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah. I feel like it's easier to work around a guy in the league right now, too, who can't play defense but can put the ball in the hoop rather than a guy who's just Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah, and so much of defense is just trying. Like, does this guy try on defense? Yes or no? And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
But I think you can't be a turnstile. But you have to be able to shoot it a little.
Yeah.
And the problem is while I agree with Kenny that you need guys who can put the ball in the hoop. I don't think Mike Brown is going to play somebody who's not going to be a factor defensively.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, point out Kevin Huerter. We always do. Like, he was already looking at Kevin Huerter before the season even started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was all defensive based. Huerter had his struggles shooting it this year, but I don't think there's anybody in the league who's worried about whether Kevin Huerter can shoot or not.
Yeah.
Is all defensive based. And that would be so I think if they're drafting a player, I think you're looking at a big wing who at least tries defensively and can knock down a 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but again, I'm still of the mind there.
Yeah, shout out Zable's family for calling in too.
Yeah, this is great. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up? Hey, Don.
Hello?
Yes, Don, you're on with Kyle and Jesse. What's up?
Oh, I didn't get the Don, but this is Steven. What's up, y'all?
Oh, hey, sorry, Steven. Our call screener stinks. What do you got?
Hey, so I'm kind of in agreement with, I think the consensus is what it sounds like to me, that Kyle Kuzma probably is our best option.
Mm-hmm.
The way I feel like it's going is that we're at a big disadvantage from the sense that we have the 13th pick, which has to be a part of the deal, and we can't make the trade until after we select a player.
Mm-hmm.
It gives another team in the top 12 an opportunity to just, basically leapfrog us and do that. And that's kind of what it's felt like has happened to the Kings in a lot of scenarios where you always hear us in the rumor mill
Mhm.
but they're taking somebody else's offer. So what do you guys think about a scenario where we offer 2 first-round picks and we get back Washington's, I think, either 21st or 26th pick in the draft as well, to kind of sweeten our deal to the point where we can actually land Kuzma? Because I think it's almost so obvious that it makes me doubt it's going to happen. Kuzma's fit, contract, and everything else, that he would really help the squad and give us that scoring punch and kind of size length that we need at the 4 position.
Sure. Thanks, Steven. Appreciate the call.
I get Steven's point about seems like a heady they could trade, but I'm looking at the draft order right now. Houston's not trading for Kuzma, San Antonio, Detroit, Charlotte, Portland, San Antonio again. Memphis is the first team that maybe they get the 9th pick. I don't think that's what they're doing. I don't think you trade the 9th pick for Kyle Kuzma. You got Utah after that, Chicago and Oklahoma City. Then you get to the Kings. Are any of those teams really in on Kyle Kuzma? You think maybe? I mean, Oklahoma City needs another center. They need another big. Chicago's not going to do that. Maybe Utah, but
Chicago might.
That's true. Yeah, Chicago doesn't know what they're doing, so they might.
I don't. And that's the thing is Chicago's another team. And when we talk about, I don't know what their plan is.
Mm-hmm.
Are they looking at Kobe White and Zach LaVine and going, yeah, hey, Kyle Kuzma would be a great fit with this duo?
You're saying it out loud. They might.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Is Memphis going, hey, if Ja is, gonna have a setback with his shoulder, maybe he's not fully healthy right away, can Kyle Kuzma carry that offensive load until Ja is fully healthy? Desmond Bane has had some back stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this is good insurance. I could see that for sure. But also this is the problem with the Kings missing the playoffs this year, is they don't have the ability to just trade their picks.
Yeah, the picks are tied up.
So everything they would do would have to have this asterisk where, yeah, hey, it may not convey this year, but the year after that, it could become. So I don't know. I don't.
They're going off Steven's call. Yeah, I don't think you should be too worried about it.
No,
I think the Kings will be fine.
I think the Kings have enough assets that if they have identified Kyle Kuzma as the guy.
Yeah, I'll also say I think the deal breaker. I wouldn't give up 2 first-round picks for Kuzma.
No, I don't think.
I feel like that'd be a little too much. That'd be overpaying. I think. I don't think you're going to need to do that for him.
And this is a little bit on the fly, so I don't have rosters in front of me. But I also don't know if the Kings can send over a pick and expiring contracts for Kuzma. I don't know what the Grizzlies and Bulls have in the way of that would make it enticing for Washington.
Yeah,
because Washington at some point you have to pull the plug and say, hey, this isn't Kyle Kuzma is no longer on our timeline. Kyle Kuzma's 28.
Yeah,
maybe Jordan Poole can be on your timeline still because you're paying him and he's on the team and people probably don't want his contract right now. So maybe you talk yourself into that. But I feel like you have to move Kyle Kuzma for something. And if you can do that for a first-round pick this year with expiring contracts,
that's easy. I feel like
I would.
If you're Washington, you have to, but you're probably going to punt the next couple of years.
Yeah. Did you see did you say they brought in Troy Weaver?
Yeah.
Detroit's former GM.
Hiring winners.
I don't know what.
This is why these same teams at the bottom right there are always just stuck in that little cycle. It's Detroit. It's
insane.
The Wizards and all. This is why you guys don't do anything. Detroit just fired their coach a week out from the draft.
It's insane.
And all that.
I don't understand it. I don't understand what they're doing.